But 'tis the season to climb ladders to put lights on. If you haven't done it already, we're kind of blessed with some dry weather yet. We just want to think about safety whenever we use our ladders though. We want to start off by making sure we have a long enough ladder so that the roof, the top rungs are actually going to be 3 to 5 rungs above the eave of the roof line. That's in case you do need to get up onto the roof itself. You have that ability to grab onto the rail before you hop off. If you keep it too low, you have to squat down. You can have a possible fall that way as well. Anytime you do get on the roof, if you see frost, it's slippery. This type of weather now, consider it slippery. We really don't recommend people getting on the roads anymore this year. Frost, if it's wet, leaves are all things that can cause a slip hazard. Once you start to slide on a roof, you're not going to stop until gravity makes you stop. When it comes to actually climbing the ladder itself, it's a two-person job. The first person is going to be the healer, and I've got TJ here to help me with that. All the healer does is basically make sure that he holds the ladder still. He's going to hold back and lean up against it, pull back so that it doesn't fall away. We want to make sure our ladder is at a good angle. It's a real easy way to find out how to make a ladder safe angle-wise. You want to step up on the ladder and grab the rungs in front of you. If your arms are straight and your back is up and down, it's the right angle. Anytime you use an extension ladder, if it's an aluminum ladder, like majority of everybody's ladders are anymore, we want that upper section called the fly to stick out. It sounds like it's a little bit nitpicky, but the ladder is built to be part of a triangle. That's how it's the strongest, and that fly is built to be the strongest that way. If you have a wood ladder, it's the opposite. But for most people, it's going to be an aluminum ladder, and the fly is going to be out. TJ, if you want to come. When we climb, we want to have 3 points of contact. So 3 points of contact would be both feet and at least one hand. As we climb, you always want to have 3. When your foot's moving, you should have 2 hands on the rung. When we get to the top of the rung and we're going to start to hang our lights, we don't want to reach too far. Everybody's got a belly button. The belly button should never get beyond the rails. So too far out, I can't keep my balance safely and I could fall. If I keep my belly button in and I lean up against the ladder itself, I can reach out safely. It's also a time not to be carrying too many things. We want to make sure that we're minimalists when we go up there. We want to have our lights. We want to have whatever we're going to connect our lights to, and that's about it. Don't take up a cup of coffee. Don't take up your cell phone. You want to make sure that you have the least amount available with you that can get snagged, that can get caught, or that can add to the gravity as you fall to the ground. Once you're up there, you want to make sure that you're properly dressed. You want to make sure it's going to be a long job to put lights on an entire house. Make sure you have a hat. Make sure you have gloves that you can work in. Big, thick mittens are warm, but you're going to end up taking them off if you're doing delicate work. You want to make sure that you're properly dressed for the job itself. The most common mistakes are they reach too far and they don't have their spotter or their healer on the ground. Either one of those things can either cause a fall on themselves or can cause the ladder itself to fall. Think about National Lampoon Christmas Vacation and the dad climbing up the ladder. He did a lot of things wrong. He wasn't wearing the proper gear because he got stuck. We want to make sure that we keep the lights as tangle-free as we can, simply for the fact that we don't want to untangle those lights while we're up on the ladder. We want to do just the minimum what we need to move along. And when you stay in that center of gravity, you're only going to have at most maybe 6 feet of stretch. Don't try to make it farther. You'll have to come down and move the ladder so you can be in a safe spot. Yeah, any type of fall, it's try to land and roll if you can, just to try and transfer that energy from down to over. We here at Waterloo Fire aren't a bunch of Scrooges, okay? It's not all the gloom and doom, don't do this, don't do that. Live Christmas trees are really pretty safe. If you buy them from a reputable tree manufacturer or tree dealer and you keep it watered yourself, it will stay moist enough that it won't just immediately combust on fire. We also want to really emphasize that LED lights are extremely safe. The old school bulb ones that can get hot or have open circuits through them are kind of going away. You can buy Christmas lights now that are all LED. They're pretty, they do all kinds of different things, but they're cool. They don't get as warm as regular lights, and they also use less electricity. So we've had that less of a chance of a short at that time. If you can feel the needles on your tree, and if they readily fall off just by touching them, they're too dry. Also, at this time of the year, you can absolutely buy a tree, have it up now, plenty of time. It's going to stay moist enough throughout the year safely. Once the season's over, we do need to discard it. If we're going to have a Christmas tree fire, it's typically going to be after Christmas because the tree has been up for a long time and we don't have enough water for it to siphon up through the roots. The city does a great job. It has that pickup for Christmas trees available. It'll be probably in January this year. Absolutely utilize that time. Do not burn your Christmas tree in a burn pit or any type of campfire setup in the backyard. The leaves go up, the needles go up very quickly, and it is not considered safe dried firewood. It will be against our ordinance. Extension cords are kind of a bane to the fire department. If you're going to be outside doing lighting, if you're using an extension cord, make sure it's graded to be outside. All right, make sure that you have the ground plugs to it. Make sure that you're not overloading the outlets. Those are all important factors that can lead to electrical fires. 'Tis the season as well just to have holiday candles out. They smell good, they give that nice festive atmosphere, but we really want to be careful. Remember, it's an open flame. Some of the things we can do to make sure that we stay as safe as we can with candles are, one, pick out a good safe candle. We want a heavier candle, and ideally we want those candles that have the glass jar kind of built around them. It prevents any pet from possibly knocking it over. It also covers the flame itself. You get that flicker of the light, but you don't necessarily have that flame shooting up over the top. If it were to fall, in theory, it could probably protect any open flame from kicking out onto a combustible. It's not a guarantee though. They still are dangerous in themselves. You want to make sure that if the candle is on, someone is in the room. If you leave the room, the candle goes out. We want to try and keep them away from pets if possible, whether they're low and you have a bigger dog that the tail can wrap around and hit it, or you have a cat that notoriously likes to knock things off ledges. Those are all concerns that we have with those candles. If you have family members that are on oxygen, or you have an oxygen tent in your house or oxygen tanks, avoid all candles. It's just not worth it. That oxygen is an oxidizer. It's going to make any fire that's in it much more intense, to the point you won't know what to do. It'll be that surprising. Since these aren't a foolproof safe issue, we have had fires in the past that may or may not have been directly resulted of the Sensi's. Same type of deal. You've got basically, instead of a flame, you have a heated plate. That heated plate can get hot. You know, UL regulations are really good nowadays as far as shorts, shutting it off, not shorting it out to a fire, but we still just don't want to take that risk in the holiday season. It being cold, it might be easy to buy that space heater to warm up a room or help warm up your house. Make sure that they're not overloading the electrical outlets. If you continually blow breakers or blow fuses, it's pulling too much of a draw and you can't have it there. If it's the type of heater that blows hot air, keep it away from the tree, simply for the fact that as it hits that tree, that's a drying effect to the tree, and having water in your base may not be able to keep up. If conditions are perfect and the fire starts at the bottom of a very, very dry tree, in a moment of seconds, the entire tree itself can be involved. If you see smoking or you smell that either hot electrical smell or that hot wood smell, first thing you can do if there's no fire is unplug your tree, try and move everything out from away from it, and see if you can find out where it's hot at. A water extinguisher would work for a tree fire, an ABC fire extinguisher would work. Keep in mind it's a big fire, so a small kitchen-sized one meant for a small pot of grease may not be enough. Never turn your back to it, and always call the fire department if you have that kind of an issue. From our family to yours, Waterloo Fire Rescue wishes you a safe and happy holidays.